Jorge Masvidal says Netflix wanted him back for that huge MVP card, but the UFC stepped in and shut it down. And more importantly than that, Masvidal says he's officially coming back. According to Jorge, he got a real offer to fight on the Netflix event and he wanted to take it, but he says the UFC told him they had different plans for him and basically made it clear they still wanted to use him themselves. He even said he had a long talk with Hunter Campbell, that the UFC welcomed him back and that they already have a plan in place for his return at 170. Now, he didn't reveal the opponent yet and he didn't give an exact date, but the way he was talking, this doesn't sound like fantasy booking. It sounds like the wheels are actually moving, and honestly that changes things a bit, because for a while Masvidal has felt like one of those names who could pop up anywhere. Boxing, bare knuckles, some crossover event, maybe even one of these Netflix cards. But if the UFC really is bringing him back, then clearly they think there's still value there. Welcome back to the Rear Naked Choke. No fluff, no filler, just straight to the point UFC news. And if you're already locked in, a quick like helps more MMA fans find the channel. Now, the funny part is, even though Masvidal didn't end up on that Netflix card, the event still got even bigger. 2 more MMA fights were officially added. Muhammad Mokaev is set to face Adriano Moraes in a 3-round MMA bout, and former UFC heavyweight champion Junior Dos Santos is going to fight Roquez Despaigne. So now that card is starting to look genuinely strange in the best possible way. You've already got Mike Perry versus Nate Diaz, Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano, and Francis Ngannou versus Felipe Lins sitting on top of it. Then you add Mokaev and JDS, and suddenly it feels like somebody just took names from completely different eras and promotions and threw them all onto the same poster. But to be fair, that's kind of why people are going to watch it. It doesn't need to make perfect sense, it just needs to feel big. And right now, it definitely does. Now, moving over to the UFC side of things, Jiri Prochazka is deep into camp for his fight with Carlos Ulberg for the vacant light heavyweight title, and he just posted footage of himself deadlifting over 560 pounds. Which, to be honest, feels very on brand for Jiri. Everything that guy does looks like a warrior from 500 years ago got dropped into modern MMA, but the more interesting part wasn't the deadlift video, it was what he said afterward. Jiri explained that negotiations for the Ulberg fight really started to become serious after Tom Aspinall's eye injury changed things at the top, and after Alex Pereira started openly talking about moving up. That's when the title picture at 205 really started opening up. So now Jiri gets his shot, and the timing is wild because the fight is happening right around the birth of his first child. He said the date is incredibly close, and basically as soon as the fight's over, he'll be flying straight back because his child could arrive any day after that. That's a lot, and it adds another layer to a fight that was already massive, because this isn't just another title shot for Jiri. This is one of those life moments where everything is colliding at once. At the same time, camp footage has been coming out from that same circle, and one of the funnier clips making the rounds was Khamzat Chimaev and Arman Tsarukyan making flips look easy, while Khalil Rountree definitely did not make it look easy. Not exactly breaking news, but it was one of those gym clips that makes the rounds because it shows the difference between that looked smooth and yeah, let's not do that again. Then you had Paddy Pimblett doing what Paddy does best, turning a normal gym moment into content. He started roasting one of his teammates for wearing white socks and having gel in his hair, and the whole thing was so stupid that it actually worked. That's the thing with Paddy. Half the time he can make people laugh just by sounding like he's genuinely offended by something completely meaningless, and somehow it still feels natural coming from him. Now let's get to a fight that could get very messy again. The rematch between Arman Tsarukyan and Georgio Poullas is set for RAF7 this weekend, and Arman is clearly not approaching this like it's some friendly sporting rivalry. He basically said he doesn't trust the guy, called him sneaky, and made it very clear that if things go sideways again, he's not worried about it. That's what stands out here. He's not selling the rematch like it's unfinished business in a respectful way. He's talking about it like he genuinely thinks the other guy is unpredictable and not to be trusted. And after what happened the first time, you can understand why people are watching this one less like a normal rematch and more like a situation where anything could happen. Now circling back to featherweight, Ariel Helwani says he thinks the Evloev versus Murphy fight should have been scored a draw, and he went even further by saying that if you didn't know the backstory, the fight almost looked suspicious because Evloev barely leaned on the one thing he's best at for most of the fight. That's a pretty strong thing to say, even with the clarification that he wasn't actually saying the fight was fixed. What Ariel was really getting at is that it was bizarre to watch a fighter known for suffocating grappling mostly stay standing in a fight where so much was on the line, and whether you agree with him or not, that's part of why people are still talking about it, because it didn't feel like a clean, simple contender fight where everybody walks away knowing exactly what comes next. That brings us to the title picture. Dana was asked about Jan Silva potentially getting the next featherweight title shot, and his answer was basically the same kind of answer Dana always gives when he doesn't want to commit. We'll see, and when it gets announced, then you'll know. But Alexander Volkanovski doesn't sound confused at all. Volk says it should obviously be Movsar Evloev next. And his point is pretty simple. He's saying Jan Silva hasn't really proven enough yet, while Evloev was already right there, just beat another top guy, and is undefeated. So from Volk's point of view, if you keep skipping the clearest contender, then what exactly are we doing? And honestly, he has a point. Volk said he's confident against all of them. But if we're talking legacy and doing things properly, then the undefeated guy who's beaten the other contenders should be next. That's a hard argument to dismiss. Now down at flyweight, a big rematch just got booked. Manel Kape is going to run it back with Kyoji Horiguchi at UFC Vegas 119. The first time they fought was back in 2017 during the Rizin Grand Prix, and Horiguchi won that one by arm triangle in the third round. So this is not just another random main event. There's history here. Kape is ranked number 2, Horiguchi is number 5, and the winner is going to be in a very strong position in that division. That one has real stakes, and if you know Kape, you already know he's not going into a rematch like that quietly. Another interesting comment came from Chase Hooper, who was asked about Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje, and you could tell he wasn't exactly thrilled about it. He said he loves Justin and wants the fairy tale ending for him, but at the same time Ilia has been flattening legends, and he honestly would have preferred to see Ilia against Islam instead, not because he thinks that's easier, just because he wanted to see a Dagestani finally lose. That's such a funny but honest way to put it. He even said when Ilia beat Charles Oliveira, the room basically went silent and everybody just turned the fight off afterward. That's the kind of reaction Ilia is causing now. Not just wins, emotional damage. And finally, there's more footage of Alex Pereira working on his grappling ahead of the Ciryl Gane fight, which is something people are obviously watching closely, because the striking is the headline. But if Alex is serious about making this heavyweight run work, the grappling side matters a lot more than people want to admit. Grant Dawson also threw out an estimate that Alex might be making something close to 10 million a fight now, or at least somewhere in that range. Whether that number is dead on or not, the point is obvious. Pereira has become one of the most valuable fighters the UFC has right now, and the way they've built him tells you they know it too. So, right now, you've got Masvidal saying the UFC wants him back, a weirdly stacked Netflix card growing again, Jiri getting ready for a vacant title shot during one of the biggest moments of his life, a rematch at flyweight with real consequences, Volk basically demanding the UFC give Evloev the shot, and Alex Pereira still moving like one of the biggest stars in the sport. That's a pretty loaded stretch of news. Let me know in the comments what stands out most to you. Who should Masvidal fight in his UFC return? And at featherweight, are you with Volk? Should Evloev be next? And if you want more straight to the point MMA news, make sure you subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one.